Hi BookTube, it's Gina, and I have a few books I wanted to share with you today. I got a couple books in the mail, and yesterday I actually did a trip to my favorite independent bookstore in the Seattle area. It's called Third Place Books. And so I wanted to show you the books that I got and talk a little bit about the bookstore and why I love it so much. So Third Place Books here's a little bookmark. It's an independent bookstore in the Seattle, Washington area. And it's a wonderful store. So yesterday I actually went and got my first COVID vaccine, which was very exciting. And while I know that I am not protected yet, and I'm still got to be cautious, I did feel comfortable going to the bookstore. They are really careful about their protocols. They kind of hold you before you go in, make sure that you're sanitizing, only letting a few people in at a time. They've got a 30-minute limit, which is probably good because the more time I spend in there, and I can spend hours, the more money I spend. It's a wonderful bookstore. It's got a little cafe and a stage. They've got author readings there. Normally, they're doing it all virtually now. They've got used books mixed in with the new books, so it's primarily new books, but they do buy books back, and then they sell used books. So it's a really fun combination of used books and new books, and I just love it. It's one of my favorite stores of all time, and one of the fun things about going to the bookstore is that I also when I'm budgeting for books, I don't know about you, but I'm always conscious about money, about how much they cost. And sometimes I look at a book and think, oh, I'm not going to spend $28 on a new book. However, when I go to an independent bookstore like this, I can walk through and I feel really good buying full price books there because I want to support my local store. I want to make sure they stay in business. I want to make sure everybody there has their job. So I was able to just walk through, spend my 30 minutes, walk through, pick up some books that I maybe normally wouldn't have bought, but that were ones that I've really been wanting. So the first one is one that I got that's used on their, mixed in with their used bookshelf. And this is Titus Grown by Mervyn Peake. This is the first in the Gormenghast novels, and it is a fantasy trilogy. I don't know much about it, other than I saw it on, I think, Steve Donahue's channel, and I need a big, chunky fantasy, so this has been on my list of things I wanted to buy. So when I found it at Third Place Books for on sale because it was used, I grabbed it up and it's in perfect condition. Doesn't look like it's even been read. So I'm excited about this. I don't know if you can see that cover, but it's really pretty. And so I've been needing a new chunky fantasy to settle into. So hopefully that will be just the one for me. The second book that I bought at Third Place Books is Transient Desires. This is the new Donna Leon, or Donna Leon. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name. This is actually the 30th book in the series set in Venice. The inspector is Inspector Brunetti, and it's a wonderful series set in Venice. Inspector Brunetti is a Venetian police officer or inspector. This is the 30th, and the 29th I only read a little bit of. This might be getting to the end of the series for me. I think after 30 books, it really feels like most of this has been done before. But I love this author. I want to read this book. I love the series a lot. It's a really fun but insightful mystery series because it's set in Venice. There is some political intrigue, some corruption scandals that are going on, and everything is not as it seems. And it's really interesting to see politics and investigations in another country. It's fiction, obviously, but it's a lot of fun to see how she weaves these tales set in Venice. And I love Venice so much, so I appreciate the settings and the description of Venice in this book. And then the third book I bought is the Ickabog by J.K. Rowling. This is her new fairy tale, middle grade fairy tale, and I just thought this cover was really pretty. I haven't read any of her other fiction other than Harry Potter, but really one of the main reasons that I bought this was because I picked it up and I saw the, sort of hard to see here, the illustrations. I didn't realize when I bought this that they had a illustration contest with kids between the ages of 9 and 11, it looks like. And so all of the illustrations in this book are ones that were chosen from kids that submitted entries. And so this caption is, "He saw a tiny, perfectly carved Ickabog foot" by Cormac, age 11. And I just thought that was wonderful. Can you imagine 11 years old and having one of your pictures put in a J.K. Rowling book? So I'm super excited about this. I like middle grade fiction, so I missed this one for middle grade March, but I'm gonna dive into this one soon, hopefully. And so those are my 3 from third place books. And then the next 2 that I got were in the mail, and mail is very exciting for me, and I will tell you why. Because for the last, I've lived in this house for many, many years. The first maybe 15 years I was here, we had a post office box. And I don't know if any of you have a post office box, but it makes getting FedEx, UPS, USPS packages very difficult, and unless you know exactly how the book is going to be shipped, it's very hard to put in your address, because if you put in the P.O. box, UPS and FedEx can't deliver there. If you put in your street address, the post office can't deliver. And there's a whole kind of stories about why that is not the case, why they can't deliver, but it was very difficult. I would get books, I would order them, they'd get returned because the address wasn't correct. So I'm very excited now. We are getting mail delivered to our house now. We don't have the P.O. box anymore, so I can just put my address in and get stuff delivered either via the post office or FedEx or UPS. So that has just been fantastic. So I've got 2 books that I've got in the mail. The first one is The Call of Cthulhu, and this is by H.P. Lovecraft. And this book was a recommendation from Michael K. Vaughn over on his YouTube channel. I am not a big horror reader, and so he's a big horror reader, and I was asking him on one of his videos, which I'll link below, what he would recommend for H.P. Lovecraft for a beginning horror and H.P. Lovecraft reader, and he recommended this one. Unfortunately, this is not the copy I thought I was getting. I thought I was getting the Penguin edition of the full stories, but I made a mistake. I didn't order the right one. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. This is a weird edition that I think is like an Amazon self-print. It's very basic looking, and it says printed by CreateSpace, an Amazon.com company. So, the cover is nice. It's kind of that matte finish. But it was not what I was quite hoping for. But it does have The Call of Cthulhu, and it includes 7 short stories. It's a skinny one, so it'll probably be good for my first foray into horror. We'll see how I get along with it. I'm trying to branch out and read some books that are outside of my comfort zone a little bit, and so that is going to be for that project. And then lastly, and most excitingly for me, is a Folio Society book that I just purchased. It is called Knots and Crosses. This is the box that it's in here with, I don't know if you can see that, but the profiles on the inside of the letters are people profiles, which is really neat. I just saw this book on the Folio Society's YouTube channel and just thought it was absolutely beautiful. I haven't read this book. I think it's a YA sort of maybe dystopian / fantasy. I'm not really sure, but I saw the illustrator talking about it, and the the author talking about it on their channel, and I just fell in love with it. The pictures are so pretty. So this is by Mallory Blackman, and the illustrations are by Kingsley Nabichi, and it's just gorgeous. I know I'm not supposed to talk behind the book so you can hear me, but I'm trying to show you the picture. So that is one, and they're all so interesting. They are people with either, like, this one's a person, a beautiful woman with, it's hard to sort of see, but this is sort of some greenery kind of coming out of her back, and I just absolutely thought that was beautiful. So I'm super excited about this. To be honest, I probably won't read this actual copy. I bought this because it was pretty. I bought this because I just, look at that. I just loved the illustrations. I'll link the video down below where I saw this book being discussed. It's a short, but a really short, sweet video with the author and the illustrator talking about how they work together to determine the illustrations. It was just a really fun video. So this was definitely just an it's pretty buy for me. I might get this on my Kindle also and read it there. I'm not sure. I might read this because I also have a rule in my house that I don't own anything that is too precious to use. I don't want to own any $500 books that I'm going to be very upset if they get coffee spilled on them. So this one was expensive, but it wasn't that expensive. And I just don't, I'm not the type of person that wants to have things in my house that I can't use or that I feel nervous about using. So we'll see. I might read this actual copy because it's just so darn pretty. And then I won't have to buy another copy on my Kindle. So that is it for today. I'm super excited to have a little stack of new books, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.